Have you ever been paralyzed by fear? That sinking feeling in your stomach, the racing thoughts, the doubt whispering in your mind. What if I fail? What if I told you there's a timeless story that holds the key to overcoming fear, drawn from the wisdom of Buddha himself? This tale will not only inspire you, but show you how to face your fears and find peace within. Stay with us until the end. This story might just change how you see fear forever. Long ago, in a small monastery surrounded by dense forests, there lived a young disciple named Arun. Arun was devoted to Buddha's teachings, but struggled with one crippling flaw. He was afraid of the dark. Every night, as the sun set and the shadows stretched across the monastery, Arun's heart would pound. The whisper of the wind sounded like ghostly wails, and the rustling leaves became menacing footsteps. Arun avoided going outside after dark, even when his tasks required it. One evening, the Buddha noticed Arun's hesitation during meditation. "Arun," Buddha said gently, "why do you tremble so? Your thoughts are like restless waves." Arun hesitated but confessed, "Master, I am ashamed to say I fear the dark. It feels as if danger lurks everywhere. My mind fills with horrible images, and I cannot control it." The Buddha nodded, his eyes kind. "Tomorrow night, meet me by the Bodhi tree when the moon is high. I will help you confront your fear." As Arun held the lantern, the Buddha said, "This flame represents your awareness. Just as this light pushes back the darkness, your awareness dispels the fears in your mind. Now take this lantern and walk into the forest. Trust the light to guide you." Arun hesitated, his heart pounding. The forest loomed like a wall of shadows. What if there were wild animals? What if he got lost? He looked back at the Buddha, who gave him an encouraging nod. "Remember, Arun," the Buddha said, "the light will always show you the next step. You don't need to see the whole path. Just trust the flame." With trembling steps, Arun entered the forest. The shadows danced at the edge of the lantern's glow, and strange sounds filled the air. At first, his mind raced with terrifying thoughts. Is that a snake? Was that a growl? But as he focused on the small circle of light in front of him, something amazing happened. The more he concentrated on the lantern's glow, the quieter his mind became. The imagined threats began to fade, and the forest felt less menacing. He realized he didn't need to know what lay ahead. He only needed to take one step at a time. When Arun returned to the Buddha, he said, "Master, the darkness seemed so vast, but the lantern gave me enough light to walk forward. As long as I focused on the light, I wasn't afraid." The Buddha smiled. "That is the power of awareness, Arun. Fear thrives in the unknown, in the dark corners of your mind. But when you shine the light of your attention, fear begins to lose its power. You cannot control the forest, but you can control where you place your focus." Expanded analogy. Life is like walking through a dark forest. Fear is the unknown, and the lantern is your awareness. By focusing on what is within your control, your breath, your actions, and your thoughts, you can take steady steps even in the face of uncertainty. Mindfulness tip. When fear arises, pause and ask yourself, what is within my control right now? Focus on that, just like Arun focused on the lantern's glow. "Master, look!" Arun whispered, his voice trembling. "It's a tiger!" The Buddha calmly turned his gaze to the shadow and chuckled softly. "Step closer, Arun. See for yourself." Arun's feet felt rooted to the ground. His mind screamed warnings. What if the tiger attacks? What if I'm too late to run? But he trusted his teacher and cautiously moved closer. As he approached, he saw the truth. The tiger was nothing more than a jagged rock, its shadow distorted by the angle of the sunlight. He let out a relieved laugh, his fear melting away. "It was just a shadow, Master. It wasn't real." The Buddha nodded. "Fear often works like this, Arun. Your mind creates frightening shapes and stories out of shadows. When you run from fear, you give it power. But when you step closer and examine it, you see it for what it truly is, an illusion." Arun thought about the nights he had spent trembling in the dark, imagining ghosts and monsters. How many of his fears, he wondered, were shadows of his own mind? Expanded analogy. Fear is like a tiger-shaped shadow. It looks terrifying from a distance, but as you approach it with curiosity and courage, you discover that it is not real. It is a trick of perception, created by the interplay of light and shadow in your mind. Mindfulness tip. The next time fear arises, take a moment to question it. Ask yourself, what evidence do I have that this fear is real? Often, fear loses its grip when you shine the light of reason and curiosity on it. That evening, as the Buddha gave him his final challenge, Arun's stomach tightened with dread. The forest hut was small and isolated, surrounded by dense trees. Arun had heard tales of wild animals and spirits that roamed the forest at night. "Master, what if I can't do it?" Arun asked, his voice quivering. "You can," the Buddha said firmly. "Remember, do not run. Fear is not your enemy. It is your teacher. Sit with it, observe it, and it will reveal its true nature." As night fell, the sounds of the forest seemed louder and more menacing. Arun's mind raced. What if there's a snake inside? What if a spirit comes for me? Every sound made his heart leap. He wanted to run back to the safety of the monastery, but he remembered the Buddha's words. Do not run. Sit with it. Taking a deep breath, Arun closed his eyes and focused on his body. He noticed the tightness in his chest, the tension in his shoulders, and the rapid beating of his heart. He didn't try to fight these sensations, he simply observed them like a curious student. Slowly, Arun realized something remarkable. The sounds of the forest hadn't changed, but his reaction to them had. The owl's hoot wasn't a threat, it was just an owl. The creaking bamboo wasn't a spirit, it was just the wind. His mind had been creating the fear all along. By the time dawn broke, Arun felt a deep sense of peace. When the Buddha arrived, Arun greeted him with a calm smile. "Master, the forest is still the same, but I am not. Fear is not what I thought it was." The Buddha nodded. "Fear is like an empty hut, Arun. When you resist it, you fill it with frightening shapes and shadows. But when you sit still and observe, you see it is empty. Just a space for your thoughts and feelings to arise and pass." Expanded analogy. Fear is an empty hut. When you enter it with resistance, you fill it with your worst imaginings. But when you enter with stillness and observation, you find there is nothing inside to harm you. Mindfulness tip. The next time fear arises, try sitting quietly and observing it. Pay attention to the physical sensations in your body, the thoughts in your mind, and the emotions in your heart. Don't judge or resist, simply observe. You'll find that fear often fades on its own when given space to exist. Through these expanded lessons, Arun learned that fear is not a monster to be slain, but a teacher to be understood. The lantern of awareness taught him to focus on the present moment. The tiger of illusion showed him that fear is often a trick of the mind, and the empty hut revealed the power of sitting still with fear rather than running from it. These lessons are not just for Arun, they are for all of us. Fear may always visit, but by practicing awareness, curiosity, and stillness, you can transform fear into a source of strength and wisdom. Ask yourself, which of these lessons can you apply to your life today? If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Subscribe for more timeless wisdom.